What's up, guys? Godzilla Man here, and today I'm going to be doing a podcast about Godzilla on Godzilla's 70th anniversary on Godzilla Day, November 3rd today. I'm going to be talking about two different topics and kind of melding them into one. One is is talking about when I was first introduced to Godzilla in that period of time, and during that period was a period of, I guess you'd call it a drought, where there was no Godzilla movies. There was Final Wars in 2004, but then technically, I guess 2005 to 2013. Well, technically till 2014, there wasn't any Godzilla movies until Godzilla 2014 released. So Godzilla seems to be everywhere right now. I mean, Japan, Toho, they've been coming out with, or they've come out with Shin Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One. Here in America, we have the Monsterverse. There's also comics, a Godzilla anime. There's Monarch Legacy of Monsters. When I was first introduced to Godzilla, he didn't seem as mainstream as he was today. I mean, he was known in pop culture. I'm not trying to say like Godzilla was like super like underground niche or anything, but still, he didn't seem like he had as much going on in the public eye, and Hollywood didn't acknowledge him and have him in the spotlight. So I'll be talking about, during this Godzilla drought period, movie proposals of the time, because during that time there was ideas thrown around and movies in the works that ended up not working out and then ended up turning into Godzilla 2014. My nostalgia for this time as well will be talked about, and a little bit, about nostalgia with the toys and the games, and my nostalgia with the news and rumors that came out for a new American Godzilla movie, and that's what I mentioned before with the ideas being thrown out. So basically I'll be talking about how the proposals progressed from Godzilla 3D to Godzilla 2014. But I won't be making a full-length documentary on the production success, failures, and cancellations. It's not really like an in-depth, like, play-by-play of everything about the development. I just wanted to go over what happened during this period. So I have sources below from Wikizilla and other sources, because some of the things I talk about here I researched, so that's why I have the sources. So I wanted to look up and see, if anybody's already covered this period of time, this Godzilla drought period, and I just saw a YouTube short mentioning it, so I thought it was pretty cool. Like, what was it like for you at that time? I don't know, maybe I'll edit that out if that's not what he said. So there have been other Godzilla droughts, technically. I mean, between the Showa era and the Heisei era, for instance, there was a period of no Godzilla movies. But this period that I'm talking about is the most recent drought. So pre-2014, Godzilla was a known character, like I said. He was in pop culture and people knew who he was. It wasn't like he was like super unknown, but didn't seem as mainstream as he is today. After 2014, Godzilla was in the Hollywood spotlight. Before, he was only known for, at least in America, I noticed by mainstream audiences, really, when it comes to movie appearances. So he was only known for Godzilla 1985, Godzilla 1998, and 2000 to general theater goers. Outside of that, you had to have an interest enough to find and watch the DVDs or stream on early 2010s, streaming services to watch Godzilla movies. Or, like, people I knew only really knew Godzilla for the 70s, say like Godzilla vs. Megalon like movies that were pretty cheesy. So I mean, outside of those theater appearances Godzilla had, he wasn't known, but I'm just saying, like, general audiences that were going to the movie theater only pretty much saw 1985, 1998, and 2000. I could be wrong, though. There might have been some of the older movies, like the original, that did have the Raymond Burr version in theaters, so let me know if I'm wrong about that. But so yeah, the general public wasn't really watching Godzilla as much as they are today. I remember YouTubers that covered Godzilla back then being small and having a niche size audience. There were talks of a new Godzilla movie being made. They mentioned Godzilla 3D to the max, Godzilla 2012, and even Godzilla vs. Gamera. The director of Godzilla vs. Hedorah got the rights to make a Godzilla 3D short film. It was called Godzilla 3D to the Max, or that's what he wanted it to be called. He wanted a monster named Deathla to be a new version of Hedorah. His revision of the movie was in 2005. That's when he creating what he wanted it to be, essentially. It was supposed to be worked on in 2006. Advanced Audiovisual and Whitecap Productions made a website to get investors interested. The site then went down. The next piece of news was revealed in 2007. I might be saying this wrong, but we'll see. Kermer Productions was going to produce the movie and give it practical and digital effects to make it pretty cool looking, probably 3D and all that kind of stuff. They said it would begin production in 2008. After some renegotiation and Legendary Pictures showing interest in the film, Godzilla 3D unfortunately was canceled and a new contract was made. 2011 was when they revealed a full new American Godzilla movie be made. The movie was then revealed in 2011 to be directed by Gareth Edwards, who created a movie already called Monsters. And the movie was shot in 2013 and released in 2014. I remember hearing that Toho didn't want another Godzilla movie until 2014, 10 years after Final Wars, but with Godzilla 3D talking about being made and them Toho being okay with that, it doesn't seem true. Maybe I should have done a little more research on that. I guess let me know in the comments if that's true or not. I just remember hearing, I don't know, I think it was people on YouTube, I don't remember. Or maybe I heard it wrong. Maybe it's just that there wasn't Godzilla movies for 10 years. Maybe Toho had nothing to do with that. I don't know. People on YouTube thought a new Godzilla movie would be releasing in 2012. In 2011, it was revealed that Gareth Edwards would direct the movie, so maybe people thought, okay, now they have the director, so maybe it'll come out next year. But I did see on I saw on Wikizilla that they said there was a 2012 revision of the screen, so I guess it was being worked on. I just remember videos of people thinking it was coming out in 2012. Also, Godzilla vs. Gamera was a topic I saw videos on as well, and it actually ended up never happening. The Godzilla vs. Gamera idea was actually brought to Toho from Daiei, if I'm saying his company right. Toho turned them down though. I still remember videos and AMVs acting like it was maybe coming, or at least what they thought the battle would be like, and I think there were also trailers. So if I find any of these things, or any of these videos that are still up, I'm making a playlist as I'm making this podcast, and I'll put in the description. Also, to the stuff with Wikizilla and all this information, I'll link below as well, so you know where I got my stuff, so I'm not just talking out of my ass, you know. I also remember YouTube videos with fan art and also, I guess, like custom-made roars that were like, oh, this is gonna be Godzilla 2012 roars and all that kind of stuff on YouTube as well. At the time, I was still a kid, so I was watching thinking maybe some of this could be what Godzilla looks like or sounds like. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like, hey, you never know. Maybe this is leaked info, or maybe they'll end up being right. So yeah, like I said, they thought it would come out in 2012, but it ended up coming out in 2014. So I was so excited, and I really couldn't wait. I remember seeing a video with the Always Sunny on 3rd Street Godzilla animation part. But yeah, I could be wrong. I'll link the video, but I think it was supposed to be the Kraken, and it showed like city destruction and all that kind of stuff, and then they re-uploaded and like, oh, Godzilla 2012 trailer, you know, all that kind of stuff. So they got scenes from other movies, basically. So anyway, Godzilla 2014, the second American Godzilla movie after Godzilla 1998. This marks the end of the drought period, because then after this, there are more Godzilla movies being made with King Kong as well, and made into the MonsterVerse, you know, with King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla X Kong, New Empire. Godzilla was getting more mainstream attention as well after more of these movies were coming out. So Comic-Con 2012, the Godzilla 2014 trailer was also released. Long story short, it was pretty much before and around 2012 that they're talking about, oh, Godzilla 2012 and all the stuff I was talking about before. But then I forget when exactly, but sometime in 2012, they actually released the teaser trailer for Godzilla 2014. I don't remember seeing it uploaded to YouTube until 2013 or early 2014. The Oppenheimer, "Now I've become death, the destroyer of worlds" quote played as they showed destroyed buildings in a destroyed city. Then, after In the Smoke, was a silhouette of Godzilla, and he roared and faded to black. It gave me chills and still does to this day. I was so excited after seeing it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was also so curious to see what Godzilla looked like in full. Also, I was glad to officially hear Godzilla's roar, instead of just watching YouTube videos of, like, I think they're modified Millennium roars. So I'm like, oh, I know what he actually sounds like. Godzilla 2014's roar was a longer sound at the end, but similar enough to know that it's Godzilla. Also, I thought the silhouette made him look a little hunched over, but not as much as 1998. So I thought he was going to kind of walk with like his spine's kind of up in the air and he's kind of hunched over, but he ended up standing taller though, which was good because I like that, looking more like a traditional Godzilla essentially. So when the first official Godzilla trailer that wasn't just the teaser for Godzilla 2014 came out, I was so excited and it gave me chills as well. I mean, the school soldiers skydiving into the stormy city and the lightning revealing the huge Godzilla moving as they were falling was terrifying and exciting. I liked how they portrayed this version of the MonsterVerse Godzilla to be be a scary force of nature that could accidentally step on you at any time. I also liked how they teased Godzilla and his destruction, but never officially showed him until later trailers. I was so excited that I watched the trailers on repeat. I even went to a friend's baseball game at the time, and even though I was watching, him play baseball, the trailers would play through my head like I would imagine them essentially. When the movie released, my dad took me and two of my friends. We were so excited when he was first showing up. We also watched it in 3D, so not to the max with Deathla, but definitely an immersive experience. After it, we all loved it, and my dad and I went to see it another 2 or 3 times, maybe 2 times after, and then later on too. There was a local discount theater that had movies for $3 after they've already ran through the main box office and whatever, or their main run in the main theaters, and we went to see it again there, and then we got it on DVD and watched it again. So a lot of times during this drought period as well, there were some Godzilla related things that were not movies that did release that were, like I said, Godzilla related. A trilogy of Godzilla arena fighters were released during this time. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters for Melee for the OG Xbox and GameCube, Godzilla Save the Earth for the PS2 and the Xbox, and Godzilla Unleashed for the PS2 and the Wii. Cool thing too is Godzilla Unleashed was a Wii game that was on the PS2. Because the PS2 was so popular that even though the PS2 and Xbox and GameCube generation were over, they're still making PS2 games. Kind of like Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Unleashed, the Wii version had a PS2 port as well, which I thought was, side note, pretty cool. The PS2 was so popular that they kept making downgraded Wii games for the PS2 after life cycle has already been over essentially. There was also a DS version of Unleashed called Double Smash, and a 2002 GBA game called Godzilla Domination. Technically, Destroy All Monsters Melee was 2002, and technically before this drought period, it was in the trilogy with Save the Earth and Unleashed, so I just thought I would still add it to the games that released during this time. I grew up with Save the Earth and Unleashed for the PS2, since that was my primary console. The PlayStation 2 was my primary console that I had at the time. I remember and still play those games to this day. I have a lot of fond memories playing them and beating the heck out of one of my childhood friends at the time. He would always play as Jet Jaguar because he thought he was awesome because he was a cool robot and all that kind of stuff. And of course I'd be Godzilla 2000 and he'd be like, wait, don't go so hard on me. I don't play this a lot. And yeah, I would pick him up, throw him, do combos. I'd be going nuts. It was kind of unfair with him. I did get an Xbox around 2014. I know, late to the game, and then got Destroy All Monsters Melee and kept it to this day. I eventually sold the Xbox 360 to put money towards my first PC, but recently bought an Xbox 360S, and now I'm playing it again. I played Double Smash on the DS a little bit, but never really got that far. I would get beat by the enemies that ended up being hard and or being difficult and 5 times my size. Most of the game was walking forward and trying not to get hit by enemies. Not the funnest, but a niche version of those Godzilla games that I have to this day and want to revisit. Maybe in a future vid. I don't know. We'll see. I remember getting toys also at that time from Playmates and I think maybe Bandai. I have most still in my collection. I'll show them in the future, so I won't go over all of them in this podcast, because I do want to make a video showing off my Godzilla figure collection. Pretty much in the collection and what I got, or in the part of the collection that I got as a kid during this drought period. Pretty much there's everything from a toy of the original Godzilla to Space Godzilla and even Burning Godzilla. I even have an Imperial, a small Imperial 1980s Godzilla as well, which was my first Godzilla toy. Let me know in the comments below what your first Godzilla toy was, if you have Godzilla toys, because I've seen online people talk about Godzilla toys and their collections and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, this Imperial was my first one. I'm like, hey, me too. So maybe it'll be other people. So the Imperial Godzilla, I always thought it looked like his mouth had lipstick on it, but maybe it was to look like atomic breath lips. I don't know. Mine was the one that said it was made in Hong Kong, because I think they said there was another one as well, according to either Wikipedia or Wikizilla. One of the biggest reasons why I want to talk about this period specifically, because again, as I said, there have been other droughts where there's no Godzilla movies, is because of the nostalgia I have for it. This period of time when I was introduced to Godzilla as well. My dad was a huge Godzilla enthusiast. Around 2007-ish, when I was younger, he showed me my first Godzilla vs. Gigan on VHS. And honestly, I would say I have probably I'd say I still have every Godzilla movie that I had as a kid from him, because we both had a collection, and I still have that collection. but for some reason, Godzilla vs. Gigan is nowhere to be found. I don't know what I did with it. Luckily, I do have it on the Criterion Collection Blu-ray set that maybe I'll show in a future video as well. But yeah, I do have Godzilla vs. Megalon and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, on VHS, all that kind of stuff. Even Godzilla 2000 on VHS. And I think maybe even Godzilla 1998 on VHS. I remember thinking Godzilla, right before, when I was introduced to Godzilla, I thought at first, right before watching, that Godzilla might be scary. But when I did watch Godzilla vs. Gigan, I laughed when I saw Gigan and pointed at the screen and said, "It's a giant chicken," and started cracking up. After that day, I kept watching more and more of the movies. I watched Godzilla vs. Megalon and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster next. Sometime after watching those movies, a local Hollywood video was closing and they were selling all of their DVDs. My dad grabbed Godzilla 2000, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Godzilla Tokyo SOS, and Godzilla Final Wars. After watching those, I fell in love. I mean, not that I didn't like Godzilla before, but I really got into Godzilla after those. Even after watching some more of the Godzilla movies in other eras, like the Heisei and more Showa movies, or era movies, the Millennium era stayed my favorite. Maybe I'll talk about that more in depth in the future. Also, I still have the Godzilla Tokyo SOS DVD with the Hollywood Video logo still on it, by the way, and Hollywood Video isn't a thing anymore, so I just think that's a pretty cool addition to my collection. My dad and I would shop around at FYE, Toys R Us, and Walmart for Godzilla toys and movies. All during this time, it was between those drought years. I was catching up with the series until 2014. Then I, saw Godzilla in theaters, and at that time, I've watched every Godzilla movie before that. So yeah, that was my podcast. The drought period of between, I say 2005 to 2013, because 2004 had a Godzilla movie, Final Wars, and 2014 was out, so yeah, that's what I'll call it. And why and that nostalgia, and why I want to talk about this drought period in particular, and not the drought period between Showa and Heisei or anything else, because I don't know. I mean, I think there's some things to talk about that, because there were Godzilla movies being worked on before Godzilla Return of Godzilla, or in America Godzilla 1985, and even I think Godzilla versus the Wolfman. But that one, I don't know. I'd have to research more to that. I don't think that wasn't official. I think it was people who used to work at Toho and they made the movie, but then it got kind of scrapped and it never was official. But I do know that there were, at least I heard on YouTube, that there were Godzilla movies being worked on before 85 or Return of Godzilla, and they were a little bit different and all that kind of. So there are things to talk about with those other drought periods, but this drought period is cool because it's the most recent. I'm nostalgic for it, and it's different than today because we have a lot of Godzilla stuff now, and before we didn't. It's kind of like with Dragon Ball Z, how before Battle of Gods, fans were starved for Dragon Ball content. I mean, they had, because even though I didn't watch every episode, I still watched it on Saturday morning sometimes. But we had Yo Son Goku and Friends at the time. But that was about it. And then Kai. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe other podcasts will come in the future. We'll see. But yeah, I'm planning on seeing the 70th anniversary re-release of Godzilla Minus One. I'm going to check and see if it's minus color, because I think last time minus color dropped, it was in less theaters near me than the normal minus one. So I'll have to see, because if it's not at the theater that's decently close to me, then I might have to go an hour and a half, but maybe it would be worth it. I don't know, because I also ordered the Godzilla Minus One Japanese Blu-ray 4K box set. I got it for everything else because I don't have a 4K TV, but the Blu-ray and the behind the scenes and the case and the art, and minus color being a physical release, that's why I bought it. So, I don't know. I may just watch the 70th anniversary just to watch it again in theaters and to see the extra content and the behind the scenes, and then see minus color at home for everything. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, stick around for more. Will I make more podcasts? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I decide, but I will let you guys know. Peace out, guys.